Hey, what's up everyone, it's your girl Bryant, and today I'll be doing a book review for Happily Ever Afters by Elise Bryant. So if you want to know what I thought about this book and pretty much my experience reading it, please stay tuned. I am back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. So like I said before, I want to do a review of Happily Ever Afters by Elise Bryant. Now Elise Bryant is a new author, and this is her debut book that has just came out, I believe, like a week or two ago. And I just love this book straight off the bat. Like, I'm just gonna tell you right now. Now, for the most part, this book is a rom-com, and it deals with a girl named Tessa. Now, Tessa is a girl who loves to write romance, and the only person that she shares her work with as she writes these romances, her romance novels or anything that she writes, she always shares it with her best friend Caroline. Now, her and Caroline have pretty much grew up together. They would sleep over, they pretty much experienced everything together. They're first on a lot of things, but eventually as they grow up and everything like that, Tessa has been pretty much admiring the new school called Chrysalis, which is miles, about maybe 4 or 5 hours away from Roseville, which is where she currently lives. And so her mom knows that Tessa is obsessed with the Chrysalis Academy, which the Chrysalis Academy is a place where a lot of people, or a lot of talented young folk go to and they attend. But in order for them to attend, they pretty much have to prove themselves that they are worth the time and they're worth going to the academy. And so what her mom did was, without Tessa knowing, she submitted some of Tessa's romance, pretty much the stuff that she wrote, her writing, to the school, and she got accepted into Chrysalis Academy. Now Tessa doesn't realize that she was accepted because her mom just tells her that, and she's like, okay, all right, cool. I didn't apply for it. And her mom's like, I did for you, pretty much, but don't tell them that I did that. But anyways, and so since she is accepted to Chrysalis, they have to move. Now for her to move, she doesn't want to move away from Caroline, but Caroline says they'll still be best friends. They still can call each other whenever they need each other. So they move. Now, mind you, Tessa is not the only child. Tessa also has a brother named Miles, and he has disabilities, but she still treats him the same. She doesn't treat him any different because he's still a human being, and she loves her brother to death. And so with him having a disability, she does have to watch him now and then because her parents are working a lot, so that they can pretty much take care of the family, make sure they're good financially and what have you, and also being able to get Tessa's brother's help, whatever help that he needs regarding his disabilities. So as she's watching him, and they have moved to pretty much the Chrysalis Academy is located in San Francisco, California. So she's by herself, pretty much going off of doing her writing as she's watching her brother. And one day the bell rings at their door, and there's a woman, one of their neighbors, who's complaining about, this is your pizza, you ordered this. And she's like, I didn't order this, and what have you. And then she realizes that her brother had did a prank call to the pizza place, and but anyways, one of the neighbors hop in and they said, oh, it's my pizza. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. Now let me remind you that the neighborhood that Tessa lives in is not really diverse. Now, for her parents, they have an interracial relationship, marriage. Her dad is Black and her mom is white, so people are already looking at them differently, and that whole scope about that. But yes, so her neighbor Sam, who's also going to be attending Chrysalis because his curriculum has been now accepted into Chrysalis with his culinary arts and stuff like that. And Sam pretty much says, oh, they went to the wrong address. I ordered the pizza. And he steps in. Tessa doesn't know anything about him yet. And so her mom brings up, yes, this boy named Sam, he's across the street. He'll be taking you to Chrysalis on your first day of school. even though Tessa was very disappointed because she thought her mom would do so, but her mom is occupied with her brother and getting him able, getting him ready for his schooling and everything like that, and being attentive to him, which she does get a little jealous about that throughout the book, about how her mom is not so attentive to her as she is to her brother. But then she understands as well, but she still feels a little bit jealous. I feel like that's normal for anybody. So Sam, he's her neighbor, and they pretty much chit chat their first day of school as they're driving, or he is driving to Chrysalis. And then her first day, something happens, and then she soon meets Lenore, which becomes one of her friends, and she soon meets Theodore as well. Now, throughout this journey with Tessa, with her new adventure in this new school, Chrysalis, she has to write, as what she does is writing, right? So that's why she got accepted into the school. So she pretty much has writer's block. As she attended the school, right off the bat, she gets writer's block. She can't write anything. She really pretends to write certain things while she's in class. And, in her class, it's most like creative writing, where you share your work and people critique your work and give you some feedback, which she couldn't do that. And she was scared to share her work because the only person she shared it with was her best friend, Caroline. But she gets writer's block. She doesn't know what to write or anything like that. So she's been accepting some of the things that she had already written, but didn't know that was something that her mom sent to them already for her to be accepted into Chrysalis. So there's a lot of things about that, and her possibly getting kicked out of Chrysalis. So she had to find ways to get her writer's block out, find ways to write again and not to have writer's block. So her best friend came up with a plan, like, okay, maybe you should try experience your own happily ever after, or create your own happily ever after and your own romance. That way you can now write it, because usually you wrote them but you never really experienced romance, and you never really you never had any clue about it. So Caroline felt like, oh, well, if you experience it, then you have something to write about. So they came up with things that Caroline should do. And then Caroline also told her about this boy named Nico, who is one of the his parents are one of the people that pretty much funds the school. So they're pretty much the popular kids who just get to do whatever they want to do. So she mentions Nico to Caroline. She's like, okay, all right, I see you. So this is what you have to do. Follow him into the elevator, get locked into the elevator, stuff like that, to create some romance, sprouting towards them pretty much. She wants them to have some type of romance, so that way she can write about it. But as she does this, she also started to have feelings for Sam. And Sam already has feelings for Tessa, but he makes it known, but she doesn't realize it. Like, he does things for her. He always bakes pastries for her to taste and try and everything like that. But she's blinded because she's focusing on Nico only and not Sam. And she's blinded by that. But anyways, out of all this, out of everything that's happening and finding her happily ever after, she soon realizes that she's she hasn't realized it yet, but she soon becomes more self-absorbed, and she doesn't consider everybody else's feelings or what they're going through or what their day is like. And so Caroline and her have a little bit of a fallout where they don't speak for a month, because Caroline feels like, you're just self-absorbed, you're only thinking about yourself, you never ask me about how I feel, what my day is going, you're always talking about what's happening with your day, bad things, and you're frustrated and everything like that. So I feel like within the midst of that, she became self-absorbed, and she started not to take in consideration of Sam's feelings that he has for her. And so throughout this journey of pretty much finding herself, she does find herself at the very end, where they have this gala where some of the students in each department, like the culinary arts, the dancers, the writers, they have this gala, and each person from each of those sections of the school, I guess you could say, sections or departments of the school, one student is selected in the gala, and they share their work. And Sam was one of the people that was chosen for the culinary arts, and he was baking pastries for them, and they were amazing. And then Nico, that she was admiring, she thought she loved or cared about, he was also chosen for the writing portion of the department, the writers department. So out of all those students that were chosen in the gala, only one person would win, and they'll be acknowledged, and eventually you find out who won. But in the midst of that, she found out that she truly loves Sam the most. Sam has always been there for her. He always stood up for her and everything like that. Now, when I say stood up for her, now there is some things that were racial profiling. Excuse me. Now, when Sam and her went to a spice store, she was pretty much being followed because they were assuming that she was going to steal something. Now, this is very common for people of color, Black people, to go through as they're walking through a store. Somebody's always following them, thinking that they're going to steal something because of the color of their skin. And Sam, now he's white, he really went straight up to the owner of the store and said, "I will no longer purchase anything from the store. This is crazy how you're racially profiling my friend. She hasn't stole anything from you. It's terrible why you would assume that." And he's like, "So from now on, my mother and everybody and her friends, they will no longer buy spices from this store as well." Now, mind you, Sam's mother is also a famous chef as well. So his mom has a lot of pull when it comes to that. So he just stood up for her right off the bat, which I thought that was so romantic, and she had never expected anything. No one has ever done that for her at all. She just was just gonna ignore them and just go about her day and everything like that. But Sam stood up for her, and she finally realizes that he is the one that's always been there for her day one, and she's just now realizing that. But as she realizes that, now she finds herself, and as she starts loving herself and who she is as a person, she starts to write again. And I feel like in the midst of trying to write again and not to have writer's block, she got lost. She lost herself, and she lost, who she was. She was trying to be someone that she wasn't. And that's the one thing that I loved about this book and about Tessa. It's about finding yourself, and you have to love yourself first before you can love someone else, right? So I really, really enjoyed this book. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars because it's an awesome book to read, and I just love it, and I cannot wait to read more by Elise Bryant. But yes, that is mostly the gist of the story. I don't want to get into it a lot more because I don't want to, provide spoilers for you guys. I just gave you the gist of information regarding this book. And yes, there's romance and there's comedy, and it's crazy because literally she's writing a book about romance, and this is a romance book. So I just think that's beautiful as well. But yeah, this book is out. So if you definitely want to read it, I suggest you do so. You can purchase it at your independent bookstore or your local bookstore. Whoever sells books, I'm sure you can find this book. But yeah, so that was my little review for this book. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Also, hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you so much for watching, you guys. And please stay healthy and stay safe. See ya.